Hey guys, it's Link Plays Games. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to our life. So we're getting back into it. The next morning you were up bright and early preparing for the day ahead. I think I already played this, did I not? Okay. Because that's where we were. We were going on to step 3. Or wait, is there? Nope, that's all DLC. Oh, that's a lot of DLC. The mall, birthday, summer work, escape, soiree. What? Responsible lemonade, soiree again. Siblings, boardwalk. Crazy, there's so much. Oh, wait. No, hold on. I want to see something. So these are all the DLC with him, and then you have the Derek DLC. Oh, that's cool. Can you play these moments again? No, you can't play it. Once you play a moment, you're done. Cool. Next step. Cool. We're on to step 3, guys. Yippee. Okay, there was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow you are heading to class. I always have anxiety. Going back to school meant handing over the autonomy you had over the past weeks. Okay. Life was going to be different. You'd come to think of summer vacation as the norm, but school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas summer vacation was just I don't even know how to say that word in the middle. So rather than it being different, it was kind of a return to the normal. What did your normal life really mean? You considered how fondly your moms talked about their summer vacations as kids. You dimly recognized that one year the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. And it was hard to imagine. It sucks, man, it sucks. I mean, right now, I kind of feel like I'm just, like, on summer break. For those who don't know, I was working in a factory here recently. About this time last year, or, well, it would have been the end of the month of this month last year, right? I was working in a factory. I was doing good throughout the end of summer, fall, winter, spring, and then it started getting hot. And it started I started having a lot of health issues. And as a result, I ended up losing my job due to not being there for a year. I couldn't get FMLA. There was like very little to save me and protect me. And ultimately, next thing I know, I had no job. I was kind of like, okay. So I've been mass applying on things like Indeed and Simply Hired and everything else. And so far, my results have been either no response, a response saying, we chose not to take your application further, or they interview me. Oh, yeah, everything's great. We'll give you a call in a couple of days to schedule you for a second interview. From what I gather, is a lot of these companies are doing multiple interviews, one to CYA, to make sure it's not like, oh, well, this person knows this person and they're just handing them the job, or to kind of safeguard in case it's like a creepy type of thing or whatever the case may be. It's just to make sure that the people they bring in, it's fair, it's good. There's multiple people validating that they want this candidate in that job position. But I'm not getting to the second interviews. I get to the first interview, and yeah, I just get told, oh yeah, we'll call you. And then I get an email saying that, like, hey, you weren't selected to move forward at this time. At a fast food restaurant, mind you. So I'm just kind of like, I'm choosing to believe it's like I'm on my own little summer vacation. I didn't do the whole college thing, so like, this is just like my college summer break that I never got to have, so we'll go with that, right? You got distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve, you pulled it through, put your mind back to the present. The season had brought about plenty of changes of its own, like Kira's visit, though that too was coming to an end today. Oh no! Why can't Kira just move to Sunset Bird? Like, what? Why? Kira needs to move. Extremely fond of her. The neighborhood was about to feel a lot emptier. I feel like that is so true. Okay. Officially, the plan was he would come over to bring you around to his house when she was ready to set off, but you both knew that you'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Visit Troubled Cove. It was a sudden change thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people, but once he was able to adjust, he's been in pretty good spirits with her around. The next thought that crossed your mind was... I guess I'll go ahead and be downstairs, because when I'm, like, expecting company or, like, planning to go out and go do something, I tend to get early too quickly, and then I'm, like, kind of sitting a second, and it, like, drives me bonkers. I'm the worst about it. Like, if I have to be at work at 2 and it's a 15-minute drive, or, like, go to a doctor's appointment at 2, go to an interview at 2, and it's 10-15-minute drive, I know good and well I can give myself 30 minutes prior to me needing to be there to finish getting ready, or even to start getting ready, depending on if I'm doing my makeup or whatnot. But I will get ready an hour prior, and it will only take me like 10-15 minutes, and then I'm kind of like sitting there for 30, like, yeah, I'll just go ahead and leave, it's fine. I could sit in the parking lot for a minute, that's fine. The amount of times I've gone to work too early, or have gone to the doctor's office an hour early, or I actually went to my last interview at the fast food place an hour early. Did not even get interviewed till almost an hour after I was supposed to be interviewed. Yikes. Anyways, Cove was there just as you expected. Seeing you, he flashed you a bright grin.
Hey.
Come on in. He stepped inside. You beckoned for him to follow you upstairs. Oh, well, if we were going back upstairs anyway, I could have waited. Cove knows where my room is. What the hell? Alright. So with the other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past those tentative stages of friendship. Your room was just as familiar to him as his own. You watched as Cove sat down in your desk chair, his preferred spot. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angle so that he was fully facing you fully. Blah, blah, blah. Once happy with the position, he leaned in towards you, hands held in his lap. His actions weren't the ones of someone who planned on moving from his spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. When's your mom leaving?
Don't worry about it.
We've got some time. She's still got a shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to just keep hanging around while she was doing that. He lifted his head, his gaze drifting through the window, and chuckled. That was so sassy. Ah, I can't believe she's already leaving, just when I'm getting used to her being there every day. He leaned back in the chair, smile tickling his cheeks. Time goes by so fast. He ran a hand through his hair before shaking his head, as if shaking off the topic like a dog whipping water following a dip in the sea. The conversation lapsed into another comfortable lull. Cove swung his feet underneath the seat of the chair, eyes resting on you. That's what I'm doing right now. I don't know if you guys like see me like moving a little bit in the camera, but like I'm like sitting here like moving myself with this little footstool in my leg, and then like I'm just swinging my leg under my chair. I know I'm not supposed to. It's one of those chaotic days. I have so much energy mentally, but not physically. But while I'm sitting here reading, I have it. But if I were up and about trying to get some cleaning done, ow, I stubbed my toe. That's why I'm not supposed to do this. Having him over here was so nice. No matter how you spent the time, you always felt better for being in his company. You couldn't help but adore him, both as a friend and in a way that plucked at your heart, a vague yearning for more. Maybe it was because summer was almost over that your feelings were rushing in on you now like a high tide at the end of a long day. Summer was such a meaningful time for the two of you. That is fair. Not only because it was when you first met, but because it was a season that you could spend almost entirely as you pleased, and you both chose to spend it together. That's so precious. Let's go for it. Now is the time. You couldn't go another day without expressing these feelings you held. What should I do? What should I do? I feel like this is the most polite thing. Can I kiss you? We're gonna go for it. You rose from the bed and stood resolutely. There was such a statement of intent in your actions that Cove raised an eyebrow, curious. As he strode towards him, he lifted his head from the rest he had made out of his hands. You stopped in front of him, your heart pounding. Ah. Go for it. You bent forward, leaning in towards Cove in the chair. He tilted his head up to look at you. You watched his eyes widening as realization of what was to come dawned on him. His grip on the armrest became tight, unyielding. Summoning up all your courage, you closed the distance before Cove had a chance to do anything more in response. Aww. In that moment, it felt warm and nice, and it felt right. Your move was so fast and sudden that it had not only pinned Cove against the back of the chair, but it made it roll back a couple of inches, breaking your impulsive kiss. As you straightened up, Cove kept himself pressed tightly against the back of the chair. That and his stunned, red-faced expression made him seem like he just come to the end of a roller coaster ride, the velocity pushing against him. He let out a gasp. I feel like we should ask him if he's okay, because he looks a little, freaked out. But also, like, just confirm, hey, I like you. Just in case. I don't think surprise is the right answer here. I guess we'll say I like you. Oh. His face became downturned. You could hear a series of staccato breaths, short and sharp. You took a step back to give him a little breathing room, figuratively and literally. Yikes. He shot up like he'd been a jack-in-the-box, and your step had been the trigger. Unlike a doll on a spring, though, his stance was inorganically rigid. Ugh. Cove plastered a hand over his mouth, his eyes shut tight, his back then became bowed, shrinking him down. You could only just make out the few words he had managed to summon.
Oh my god!
His eyes flew open wide, but he didn't look your way, let alone meet your gaze.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he's still processing. Sorry. Hold on. I'll be right back. Hey guys, real quick. So if you guys want to help support my channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You could also share this video. You can follow me over on Twitch. And also, check out my Redbubble for all my merch and Invisible Illness designs. I even got some fan art over there. And typically, if a content creator, plays with me, I do make some fan art for them occasionally. So be sure to head over there, check it all out. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Tons of stickers, t-shirts, hats, hoodies. Just a lot of stuff on there. And also, if you don't, Hayes and Millie will judge you. They will judge you severely. Because this money goes towards help buying them treats and getting Millie some chew toys so she doesn't chew up my Switch or another Xbox controller. But anyways, let's get back into the video. Okay, so his reaction was really cute. You watched him adoringly as he tried to gather his senses. Cove only slammed his eyes closed once again. Did I do something wrong? He was still holding the hand to his face, but in an attempt to answer, he emitted a muffled whimper. With that obviously not working, he uncovered his face at last, bringing the hand to lay against his chest and looked at you. No. He opened his mouth, poised to speak, and pursed his lips as words failed him. On his third or fourth attempt, you heard what he had to say. He's so awkward, it's precious. I'm glad Jello is not this awkward. He has his moments, and he was definitely a little surprised by me kissing him, but not this level. Not Cove level, but it's still precious that we kissed. Cove ducked his head but nodded. You got the impression that he was grateful that you finished the thought, but your direct words had pierced his Achilles heel. Your earlier anxiety ebbed, knowing that the experience had been a welcome one. The smile on Cove's face was real but weary, not unlike the one he wore after a long and exhausting day at the beach. Like when he found a new treasure, the work had been hard, but the reward had been worth it. With some newfound confidence, he drew himself up as he inhaled deeply. Each word he spoke next was delicate. Yay, Cove likes us too. Probably way too much, that's such a thing. He ducked his head bashfully and opened an eye, peeking at you through the hair that had fallen over his face like a veil. He managed a smile.
Thanks for waiting for me.
Aw, how precious. His eyes sparkled just looking at you, his affection transparently clear. He could never hide what he was feeling, and you couldn't be more grateful for that today. We'll hug him. You closed the already short distance between you and Cove and wrapped your arms around him. He looked down to meet your eyes and giggled nervously. He did his best to wind his arm around you in return. It was a little awkward, but even with the benefit of hindsight, you wouldn't have changed a thing. The strength of your feelings had demanded immediate attention. It felt so nice to hold each other that way, and now everything was out in the open. You separated again. He rubbed his eyes with the heel of his hand. The heel? The palm of his hand? Right here? This is your wrist. But is this the heel of your hand? Because this is the palm of your hand. Or what is the heel of your hand? It was a action usually reserved for much later in the day, but at this point it felt like a long day. Cove then pressed a hand to his creased forehead.
Oh my god.
Does this mean I'm your boyfriend or something now? Should we tell our parents? I don't know what dad or mom would do. There was a lot of concerns in there. You honed in on the simplest. There was no way your moms would just let you have a boyfriend, even though that word juxtaposed, that's a big word, with Cove's name made your heart race. My parents won't let me have a boyfriend or even a something. It doesn't matter though, we like each other and that's what's important. Nothing anyone else said about your relationship changed what it was between the two of you. Cove lifted his hand from his cheek and reached towards you, halting halfway, then slowly, cautiously hooked his fingers around yours. His palm pressed against the back of your hand. Hold his hand back. You rotated your thumb so that you were palm to palm with Cove, your thumb creasing one another. Did I read that right? Thumb creasing one another. Did I read that right? It didn't sound right when I thought it back. We can get it to work. We always figure out things sooner or later. Now that is very much like me and Jello. You're right, no matter what, it's okay in the end when it's the two of us. Your forthright statement made Cove gasp, but the smile that followed and his tighter grip on your hand told you that he had appreciated it. The sudden call from downstairs caught you both unaware. You nearly forgotten the word outside your room. From the guilty look on his face, Cove had done the same. Just had a call. Cove's mom's ready to go. If you're quick, she might keep the mandated motherly smothering to a minimum. Ah, but where's the fun in that? That wouldn't be the cure we know and love. You doubted that, but it was nice that Mom and Mrs. Pierce, or Priest? Mrs. Priest? Either way, Cove's mom. Why are we calling her anything but her name? We are on first name basis with this woman, just like we are Cliff. No, let's not. But they had their strange sense of humor in common. Your eyes met Cove's. Wordlessly, you headed downstairs together. Each step on the way there was painfully slow, like he was trying to delay the inevitable. His whole body tensed, leaving the house, and Cove froze altogether before both of you could cross the street.
Oh.
The doors opened. Dad must be taking her stuff out. He swallowed hard. She's really gonna leave. This isn't the last time you'll ever see her. I got used to having her here. Oh. It was hard to think of a world where you didn't have both your moms living at home with you, so you couldn't even imagine how hurt Cove must have been feeling knowing his mom was leaving. Technically, his mom was leaving again, so like this is just reliving past trauma. Poor Cove. You thought you saw his bottom lip quiver just before he turned his head away from you. We don't have to head over if you don't want to. No, it'll be worse if I miss her leaving. Okay. At that, some conflict wearing on his face eased a bit. I feel like I need to get out of the corner. Hold on. Together you went across the street and inside his house, finding his parents in the living room, surrounded by his mom's packed things. Hey kids. Good timing, I just called the taxi.
Hi.
I'm so glad I get to see you today. It was fabulous getting to know you this summer. I finally got to put a face to the name that I've heard so many times. She winked and Cove pouted on cue over the teasing. Hopefully it won't be too long before we see each other again. Nodding, Kira turned her attention back to her boys. She patted Cliff on the arm with a warm smile, and then she enveloped Cove in a crushing hug. Initially, Cove squirmed to break free from her grip, but his mom was unfazed and kept him locked in place. Heartbeats later, he gave in and hugged her back tightly.
I'm so glad.
I'm so happy this trip was a success. Cliff looked like he was bursting with pride. Yeah, because this was Cliff's little surprise idea. Then Cove stiffened. Kira loosened her hold on him enough to study his face, concerned. She spoke her next words in a whisper that had been meant for just her son.
What do you think?
Do you want to unshelve it? Raising an eyebrow, Cliff watched them carefully. His smile began to falter.
What's wrong?
Cove sighed and his Cove sighed and his gaze flickered over to you for a moment, and then just as quick, it was back on his parents.
It's okay.
Really?
Are you sure? I don't want to do it now. I could tell Dad later. Nervously, you watched the exchange with the growing suspicion that Cove didn't want to have a conversation while you were there. You wondered if you should offer to leave when Kira gave Cove a pat on the head.
All right.
You can always call me if you want me to be a part of the conversation, okay? I'll call. Thanks, Mom. Cliff still looked baffled about what Kira and Cove were referring to, but you watched as his shoulders slowly relaxed. You figured that he decided to wait for Cove to be ready to talk to him. See, that boundaries. They have such good boundaries with Cove. I love that. With Cliff's silence, things seemed to be settled for now. After that, it wasn't long before the taxi arrived, rolling up in front of the house, and it was in clear view of the open door. Kira stood up, smiling sadly. Well, that's my ride. Yeah. The matching reply got a chuckle out of Kira as you all filed out of the house. Father and son went with Kira's bags in hand. Oh, I didn't help grab bags? How rude. Once you were outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and to your surprise, Derek was also with them. He stood uncomfortably, and he waved as soon as you noticed him.
What's up?
When'd you get here? My dad dropped me off just a little bit ago. I thought I could visit one more time before school started.
Sorry.
You picked a busy time, sorry. Derek couldn't even look at Cove. He nervously kept rolling a pebble with the bottom of his shoe.
Sorry.
I wasn't even thinking your mom would be leaving today. I'm sorry, dude. What? You're not interrupting anything. You're always welcome here. It would have been sad if I didn't get to say goodbye before leaving. Derek came to hang out often, so it was inevitable that the two had met at some point this season. I think so too. It was apparent that Derek would have preferred to have gotten there at a more opportune moment. He never liked seeming impolite, but their reassuring words soothed his worries. The tension he was holding in his body lessened, and he looked like he was feeling much more like himself. Bye, Derek. It was fun getting to know you. Is there anything I could do to help?
Nah.
Don't worry yourself over that. We're just about set. In that short amount of time, Cliff had gathered and packed the bags into the trunk. Kira took one last look at everyone inside. Alright, I don't want to keep the driver waiting. It's time to head out. The little crowd that had formed around started their chorus of farewells and well wishes traveling. But Kira still made no move to get into the taxi. She placed her attention on Cove. I'll call when I get to the airport and when I make it to Nevada. Also, you better call the moment you walk in the door at home. Otherwise, we'll be wondering all night if you got into trouble on the way there.
Can do.
I can do that. Could you call tomorrow too, so I could tell you how school went? Of course, I want to hear all about it. Kira put a hand on Cove's head and affectionately ruffled his hair one last time. She then let go, only to move into squeezing his cheeks in her hands instead.
Cove.
I love you so much. She was chuckling by the time she freed him and rounded things off with a small tap to the tip of his nose. Cove rubbed at his face with a grin. Finally, she walked over to the car waving and took her seat in the taxi. My hands are twitching. Oh, now it's not doing it. I guess it was just how I had it set on the laptop. Crazy. Cliff hooked an arm around Cove's shoulder and kept him close as it began to pull away. For a moment, Cove looked up at his dad and then wrapped an arm around his back.
Bye.
Bye, travel safe. Kira rolled down the window and stuck her head out of it. She waved again while blowing kisses at Cove and Cliff. See you again. Before she was out of sight, you decided to, I guess, call out. As you added your voice to the others, you watched Kira's smile grow larger. The cab turned down another road and completely disappeared from view. Cove let go of his dad and took a few steps out into the empty street, still looking in the direction his mom went. He smiled quietly, deep in thought. You got the impression Cove was feeling better than he was earlier. He was finally content with the way things were. You jumped a bit when your mom put a hand on your shoulder, pulling you away from your thoughts. She smiled when you looked at her. This was a great vacation, huh? You nodded in agreement. Yeah, it was a good one. Cove walked back over to the group, still genuinely happy. Derek grinned at him, welcoming, and everyone else there smiled at him, even Elizabeth.
Well?
Ma clapped her hands together, bringing everyone's attention back to the present. It's almost lunchtime. I think I'll put something special together. Her eyes sparkled with a plan and Mom smiled. I bet you could use some help with that. That'd be absolutely wonderful. Derek glanced between the two, his eyebrows furrowed. Is there something I could do? Your mom's exchanged a fond expression. Ma shook her head.
How sweet.
That's very sweet, Derek, but it's alright. It's not your job. Technically, your dad left you under Cliff's watch, so you're meant to be taken care of by him, not doing chores for the neighbors. Mom laughed a little over her own joke. You watched Derek look away discouraged.
It's okay.
I don't mind. He was a little bashful about it. You wondered if Mom's joke had reminded him that he wasn't initially meant to be invited to lunch. It was getting a little awkward. I'm gonna actually pause this here. Millie is like losing her mind. I think she's gotta go out. So I'm gonna end this video here, and we will be back with the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!